really are getting off track here, which is that I have another opinion that I know is going to get clipped up.
Oh, for fuck's
And
sake.
everyone's going to attack me vigorously for it.
Hi, Panthera. Put it on us.
Move the thing to us.
Panthera, Panthera.
And I can't believe that I learnt this from the Packy Commie.
Oh,
But
shit.
privatising
Commie.
the Commonwealth Bank was mad. In fact, it was the maddest thing that Paul Keating did.
Okay, so I'm taking away that your conversation with Krista was you thought it was mad. Because didn't know how to, I couldn't tell you what you thought.
Oh, so it was like you reading Othello in year 12.
Yeah,
Just didn't
yeah.
understand what was going on. Sounded passionate.
But I genuinely believe that too. Like,
Do you?
So you know what?
yeah. Well, I don't know if it's the
Get me-
best thing he ever did, but like it was. I think it was a very good thing.
But
before
just
we get
like
into it.
Shakespeare, you say it's the best thing he ever did for dramatic effect.
Dramatic.
But before we get into it, just so I get the crux of it. So he privatized it. Now you're gonna have to help me out. He privatized it for a reason. I'm getting something here. A reason. He basically
Holy shit, Mislav Balabragic, political medium. That is you! You are a psychic man that sits on a political podcast and have no right being there, and you sit around guessing what's going on.
I'm gonna guess that wasn't it essentially like he decided to give them money to prop them up to make it profitable again. Is that right?
No, it was
Not
somewhat
close.
profitable. It was profitable.
So he gave them taxpayer money.
But that's why you privatize it. I think.
Wait. Before we get into this, I just want to know from the audience, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
Thing
give
that
us.
happened, I'm guessing a decade before you were born.
Yeah, give us your views on.
Mislav is
do you
big head
think
from
the
Silicon
Commonwealth
Valley.
Bank should have been privatized or not? But if you just pitch it as that without giving them facts, then obviously they're going to say,
So
yeah,
Keating privatized it.
yeah, in phases. But look, I can go on and on about like why I think it was the right move.
What was the argument? What was the crux of the argument?
Go on.
What was the crux of the argument?
Dude, I think the general sentiment of the audience is, I have no opinions on stuff before 1991.
Fair. And they're right. But
Ooh,
honestly,
so close. It was 1988. No, wait, didn't it happen in 1991?
It happened, so he's wrong.
His plans were in 88, moved to 91, finish in 96.
Yeah, that's right.
so what was the argument about?
CBA was money bags. They took over the Bank of Melbourne, which was bankrupt. If Keating did it, it was a good idea. If Paul Keating did it, I'm all for it. Dude, I don't
Hell
think
yeah.
anyone gives a shit. They just don't know the facts. Like, on the
No, but this
surface,
is
what was
look,
the
let me
argument?
Well, let me just paint you the picture, because every boomer that knows what's up in the world, which is pretty much Ali at 18,
Yeah.
they are correct on a lot of things in that they really understand how the global sphere really works. But when it comes to the national level, it's always the same thing of, Hawke and Keating were just Thatcher and Reagan. No, they weren't. First of all, they were much more handsome. Reagan was pretty good.
Gotta know.
Then again, I'd plough Thatcher. I'd give her one. But
Panthera. Actually,
Yeah, Panthera.
Is that Panthera?
Panthera.
Panthera? It's a Panthera? It's a Panthera. I like how Panthera is my condom to Thatcher.
Dude, it's so good. It's just like the trigger word that we just blanket say. Like, this is Seinfeld. It's Panthera. Yeah, Panthera.
Poll, would you do Thatcher?
Come on.
And if you're a chick, who's hotter, Keating or Hawke?
dead Thatcher, would you do
Reagan.
necrophiliac? Do you mean like have sex with her
for fuck's
now?
sake.
Wasn't going that far.
Jesus Christ. You always have to take it to that next packy level, don't you?
Yeah, I know.
Just take it to,
Wait, why is that packy
I don't
level?
know. I don't know.
Hey.
I'm guessing that there's more cases of necrophilia in Pakistan.
Well, there's more ghosts, so.
You know what? Look up the stats. They're probably First of all, I know of like not personally, but I used to read them in the newspaper.
No.
Like the Undertaker was like, they arrested a guy who would get hanky panky with fresh corpse.
Oh. No, not fresh.
I just don't know how you do it.
Well, I don't know.
The body would be rotting.
No. God,
and you would
boys.
have to first of all dig it up too.
No. He was a mortician, wasn't he?
Oh, I don't know about that. I think he dug.
God,
he
they
dug
would
it
have
up.
to be fresh.
I think
and
he
none of
dug
that
it up.
hillbilly, I got to post him off the side of the road just 3 days old.
Shit. Well, that's
And
a good
anyone that's fresh should always be smacked by a bus as well.
I don't want to.
You don't like that?
No, I don't like it.
Heart attack, all intact.
Panthera.
That was too
I think that
fucked.
deserves a Panthera.
That was
That
too
deserves a
fucked.
Panthera. Yeah, that's it. It's just like it's almost like a tip of the hat, isn't it? It's like Panthera, mate. Shit.
That, sir, was a good Panthera.
What are we talking about
We're
again?
talking- you-
Necrophilia, that's
No,
right.
you brought up Paul
something
Keating and
very
Comp.
similar. Banking in the 80s. Fuck, this is a fucked pod.
I don't think this is as much of a hot button issue.
Sorry.
I don't think this is nearly as much of a hot button issue as you think it is.
No, it's a hot button issue with people that are 70.
It's a hot button issue in this office, I'll tell you that much.
I know.
I
It
can
was
tell
the
you that
hottest
much.
button issue.
It was the hottest I've ever
I don't
seen
think I've
this
ever been in a
place.
more heated argument with Connor and Krista.
Nah.
I loved every second of it. I think all of us enjoyed it. It really did remind me of when Keating, people used to say about Keating, look, everybody thinks he was passionate about the economy. Keating was just passionate about arguing. If there was 2 flies on the wall, he would argue just as vehemently about which fly was going to fly off that wall as he would about floating the dollar.
Damn.
Right.
But
Likes to fight.
likes the fight. And but anyway,
Wait, Christo?
huh?
Paul
Fuck,
Keating.
sorry. Go on.
Well,
guess
they do
both
have
of
that
them,
in common.
They do, yeah. I wouldn't say you guys enjoyed it that much. I think it was getting to a point where I was like, ugh.
No, but I like being in those wog moments of like, you fucker my mum, I fucker your mum.
He was prepared to
I
leave.
can't believe that this was what is. I didn't know that it was that heated. It's
There was
such a
threats of
non-issue.
leaving.
It's just hilarious
There was threats
because-
of leaving.
What?
Not the business, just the office.
Because the Commonwealth.
Christo maintains that he was correct on the issue. And I don't want to say what his position was, but I truly think that we were really arguing what came first, the chicken or the egg. And I took the egg position and he took the chicken position. It was such a stupid way to waste half a day. But having said that,
But why-
I really feel like it was just, that's another day in the office here.
But I'm curious what his fucking
Me
what his
too.
opinion
All right, I'm
was.
going to try and be as objective as possible, knowing that he's not here. This is going to be so hard because I'm so worked up about it now. All right, so we were going through the script, and remember the point that you were saying that the Commonwealth Bank was acting like a private institution, so why are we paying their wages?
Yeah.
Now, his point was it was turning over a profit, so who cares that we were paying their wages? It was turning over a profit. My point was, yeah, but we're still paying their wages. His point was, oh my God, you're such a spastic. I'm filming this. I'm going to leave. Oh my God, I can't believe this. You're insane. You're insane. Say it again. Say it again. Operational costs are a thing. What the fuck? What the fuck? It's a profitable company. What the fuck are you talking about? But I think that if I go back and look at it, he was right in that is not enough of an argument to privatize it, that you are paying their wages. It was profitable, but it was a sidetrack point that we were focused. That's why I'm saying it was just such a stupid thing to focus on, because it was just that, back and forth for 3 hours, getting more and more manic. And I think that both of us were right.
Can I just-
And we were arguing over who's more right.
Can I just say something about that in particular? A government's metric for privatizing something is if it's profitable. If it is profitable, that's when you privatize something. Because look, as much as this is going to sound like a shock, but we aren't the CCP. Our job is like a government's job in Australia isn't to run businesses. It's supposed to run certain businesses that are going down. So like at the same time, Keating didn't privatize Telstra at that point because Telstra was not super profitable and wouldn't have been able to survive. Something like Australia Post, here's another good thing. Something like Australia Post today, which is still majority government owned. But do you know why the government still owns it?
Runs at a loss.
Those little stamps.
Because look, if you look at Australia, right?
Fair. And those shit chocolates at the front that are only sold at Australia Post that have pictures of bilbies on them.
Yeah,
love
but
those.
it's a monopoly for a reason because
Bilbies.
the population of Australia is only 25 million people. It's a huge continent, and a lot of these people live in areas that is not currently economically feasible to deliver to. Right? It's if you get a private company and be like, okay, now you get all of Australia and you need to deliver things to Northern Territory, all of that stuff, they wouldn't be able to do it because it would not make economical sense. The only economical sense for shipping right now in Australia is within the metro areas. And so what the government essentially does, it subsidizes people that live in tier 3s, people that live in regional areas. Jordan, we do it too. We subsidize them people. Because look, if you look at our merch sales, right? The shirts that we sell, we charge a single amount for shipping. That shipping applies to someone that lives in Northern Territory. It also applies to someone that lives in Newtown, which is right next door.
And as always, the farmers are getting a free ride.
Yeah, but what we do it. We get the people.
Prick.
We get people from living in urban centers to pay slightly more than what they're supposed to pay, so that we can subsidize people that live in fucking Taree and shit. So we do it on a micro level as well.
I'll just add, I'm not happy about that.
But I'm very happy about that.
Shout out Taree.
So Australia Post, for that reason, remains government, because if you privatize it, it's going to be a net loss for the public. But when you've got corporations that can survive on their own, then that is an incentive to privatize them and not. And
that is true, but I will add this as well. If the service is necessary, then you shouldn't privatize it,
That's
even
true.
if it's profitable, which would be something like the electric grid, electric utilities, water. These things would be profitable if you privatize them. Everybody
but you
needs
wouldn't want
water,
to.
but
So
you
you're-
don't want to
but
do
for
that.
that's
him,
true too.
But
privatising-
Qantas is not necessary.
Yeah, Qantas, or even for that Commonwealth Bank, because you've got a government bank. It's called the RBA. No one is privatizing the RBA. Commonwealth Bank was this is the context. We'll keep it for the script, but the context was that in 1991, Keating started privatizing Commonwealth Bank because, first of all, Australia was in a deep recession. It was what he called a recession we needed to have. You had unemployment that was nearing 10 to 11%, and at the same time, you had a ballooning debt. Australia was facing stagnation, which is at the same time your inflation was going high and your unemployment was going high. Then you had a lot of these public assets that they looked at. The metric that the Labour Party under Keating used of why if something should be privatized or not is that they ask one simple question: if we back away from this, would it be able to survive? If it was able to survive, privatize it. If it wasn't able to survive, then you can't privatize it, which is why Telstra wasn't privatized at that point, but Commonwealth Bank was. Commonwealth Bank, on the other hand, there were a few things that were happening. One was that there were new regulations in the banking industry, which meant that in order to commercially give these loans, you needed to have a larger equity pool. And because Commonwealth Bank was government owned, their equity pool would have come from the government.
Equity pool means money.
Money. And so Keating was saying that this is going to be something that we would have to allocate in the budget. And because we would have been the majority shareholders, like the Australian public, then we would have had to give in that funds. On the other hand, the flip was that if you sell a profitable institution like the Commonwealth Bank, guess what? You get more money. Selling things that are going at a loss, you get less money. So you would want to first make it profitable to sell it. And then he used that money during a recession to affect things like reducing unemployment rate. One of the other things that he used the money for was setting up on practical training for apprentices and shit, so that their skills are more relevant for their workplaces, so making them more employable. And reducing the fucking debt that was going insane during stagflation. I don't understand when would be a better time to do it.
Yeah. The only downside, I suppose, is I do agree with the boomers in that he sold it for way too little, but it was an emergency. And I think that the other point is, when people are always saying, it was profitable, why would you sell something that's profitable? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as soon as the Commonwealth Bank didn't have this attitude of, we're not drowning, so we're doing a good job. And they had this lazy bureaucratic thing of just only ensuring, backing loans that were absolutely guaranteed to turn a profit to them. As soon as they were privatized, they had to kill what they eat. So they started approving way more loans. And as a result of approving way more loans, businesses doubled as a result of Hawke and Keating. On population trajectory, we were expected to have about 1 million businesses by now. But we have 2 million small businesses alone. That is because they upped how much domestic investment was here by tenfold, meaning there was so much more money getting thrown into the economy that then moved on to businesses flourishing, that at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, you could have a profitable bank, or you could have 1 million extra profitable businesses paying tax.
Yeah.
So it was just insane to me. Like, when I understood that point, I really don't get the point of all the boomers, because they just stop at it was profitable. That's their end game.
But so wait, what's the end game? So the end game is anything that's profitable, the government does not sell it. So the government essentially becomes a major capitalist. Is that the point? So like, basically the government should be Rupert Murdoch.
Especially because they sold it off to start up a bunch of programs that aren't profitable.
Because
They were going
that's
to help
what a
the country,
government's
but
supposed to do.
It helped the country in two ways. It helped the country build a bunch of businesses that could build a bigger tax revenue pool that they could then collect, which is essentially what happened because they doubled the GDP. But the other way that it helps the country out is that by selling it, they set up all those educational programs and increase the skill and education level of the country.
Yes.
And then the Liberals privatised a lot of those.
And like I said, I can't.
But they shouldn't have privatised those.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're not the fucking CCP. We are not going to. We're not like the government is not a massive business person, because that really fucks shit up. If the government is handling so many of these companies, their interests get diverted. A government job isn't to make business money. A government job is public service. And so once you if you expect your government to be also making most of the money in your economy, then you're living in fucking North Korea. You're not living in a free society. Because then these people will have their own vested interest. And so they're not going to be able to govern you effectively. Anyways, that's
But also there's another
separation
sick
of
thing.
powers.
I've got a book by Jack Lang called The Great Bashed. And it has that classic picture on the front of him doing his little auction pose, being like, yeah! And it's about the Depression, and he's pretty much arguing the entire book that this is all the Commonwealth Bank's fault. I swear to God, he's definitely got an axe to grind because they did kick him out of office. But this is the other reason that you privatise it, because before Keating opened up banking in this country, the Big Four used to sit around as this old boy cabal and actively campaign against Labor governments. Now, because they have so much competition from your ING Directs and your Bank New Zealand, I assume, right? They actually have to act more professionally. They don't have time to sit around and think, yeah, how do we out Andrews?
Yeah, they
they
don't
have
have
to
an
think about,
insurance.
fuck, we need to hit the next quarter. I think that what he envisioned, which was a lot better than the current circumstances, which it's always the same thing, because people always say the same thing about the Commonwealth Bank that they say about the ABC, which is just put in better people. Yeah, it's not like the Liberals can do that, can they? Especially when they're in government 70% of the time. They can't put their own guys in there. What the Labor Party does, and this is Keating's entire political philosophy, is how do I make sure that the Liberals can do the least amount of damage when they're back in power? And one way of doing that was to privatise the Commonwealth Bank, because it just allowed there to be so much more capital circulating around and couldn't have this protection monopoly racket that was occurring. Then the Liberals came in and started loosening all the regulation that he put on this new private, large, global banking enterprise on this country. So that started to screw things up a bit. But still, the reason that we avoided the GFC is because of Keating's reforms like the four-pillar thing. So it's not like the guy did it willy-nilly because he believed in neoliberalism or whatever the fuck it is. Like, the guy was a lot more complicated than that. He didn't have ideologies. He was a truly practical man that was constantly thinking about what works best.
That's true. And that was just a teaser. If you want more details on Paul Keating, there's going to be a video coming out soon.
That's true.
Revisit
Also,
that.
are you interested in that? Because that is all it's going to be. And if I get enough likes, I will also be doing a historical case for why the Commonwealth Bank should have been privatised in the 20s. I really do want to read the Great
I'm
Bus.
in the
think-
wrong business. I should be working at Bananas in Pajamas, dude. What am I doing here?
Can you work at Bananas in Pajamas?
I think I can handle it.
I suppose it's government run.
Why couldn't I?
Because you were born for that. Have we told this story on the podcast? Probably.
What?
You know how your dad was describing communism? How he was saying, it was so bad.
Yeah.
I had to get up at 4 a.m.
Don't say
comes
your
to work
bullshit
at
of like
7
big-
a.m.s.
Yeah.
And then everybody slept.
Yeah.
Why didn't we start 9 to 5s? I
I
had to go home at 3 p.m. and do art for 8 hours. It was horrible. But the best story of that is his dad was there one day and he was just talking about how lazy it was. So they'd forced them to do a bunch of projects they didn't want to do, which I did like about communism. So instead of them going, but I want to make a building with a stripe down the middle of it. No, you have to build a sewer. This is a dystopia. So they forced him to do a sewer. One of his workers screwed up the sewer so much that it was unusable. It was $1 billion investment. Unusable. And he walks up to him. They're on the same level as employees. They go, hey, what the fuck you do? You fuck my mother. I kill you. You motherfucker. And his boss, the guy was asleep, by the way. He shakes him out. He was asleep at work. He shakes him out. Being like, what the fuck you do? And his boss, who's next to him, is also asleep. And then he just goes, hey, Tony, the man is trying to sleep. He's up.
That's one
What
of
a
the greatest
workplace.
stories.
And you're always saying that you hate communism. You would have thrived in that environment.
I don't buy you and
That's
Christo's
you now.
autistic fucking perspectives on that. That's bullshit. I like the American flag waving in the wind. That looks cool to
Hey,
me.
don't.
That speaks to the poetic side of you, but the practical side of how you operate is having a siesta at 9 a.m. in the
But
morning.
that's not communism. That's just, you know what that is? That's how the Spaniards live. That's just Spanish culture, right? Maybe I should just
Even they're a
move to
little more
Spain.
practical than that. Don't they have it at 2?
Yeah, they do.
God damn. Spain in Croatia, eh? Now that's a lazy country.
Well, could I just be like a musician and lounge around in a communist country?
I think
know
you
if you
can.
can.
I think everyone has to become a musician because
right. So
when
you
you've got
can't.
like nothing to do and you've got some money coming in, I guess explore the arts. You know,
Maybe you can, but you would have to be in a white suit wearing a fez with one of those onion-shaped guitars. And you'd be on TV. And let's be
Actually,
honest, that's a better look for you anyway.
White loafers.
White loafers, of course. And every song is about how sick spring is.
Soviets loved music.
They like music that goes yiga-ding, yiga-ding, right?
Yeah, so learn how to
Yeah.
do that music.
And you like that music as well.
I'm